Prizes galore as Arrow took its first half of its new season. And you know what? I kinda like it. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing the mid-season of Season 5, Arrow. And you know what? As I've been reviewing shows this season, I've come to realize that it's hard to grade an individual episode. It's like grading a chapter of a book. There's a lot to unpack and a lot to talk about. So instead, I've decided to grade each half season. Well, except for the shows that only have a handful of episodes. And Arrow I'm giving a silver to. Why a silver? Because it's pretty good, but it's not great. Careful for spoilers if you haven't seen every episode this season. And we're going to start with the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. Let's jump in and talk about Quentin Lance. Quentin has had quite an arc over the last 5 years, from not liking and not trusting Oliver to being the person that he's closest to. And to be honest, he's gone through a lot of heartache. I'm sure that in the next half of the season, that's going to get even worse with the reveal of what happened at the end of the season, at the end of the mid-season. But for now, I've really liked his arc, and overall, it seemed realistic and heartfelt, and just in general good. Also, I really love the inclusion of Ragman. He's one of my favorite DC characters. He's a powerhouse, and he's fixing one of the main problems I have with the series. Also kinda in the honorable mention is Wild Dog, who has been a fun addition to the team. The other good thing has been the villain. The villain has been both grounded and capable, but at the same time mysterious and powerful. Although I do keep laughing at the fact that, oh no, the villain knows who I am. Oh, you mean like every other season. But that pretty much, I mean, there's a lot of good things, but those are my personal favorites. So what about the bad? Because, well, there's bad too. Well, the thing that annoys me the most about this show is how much they don't use their supporting cast. Team Arrow has become a pretty powerful force, and yet Arrow is still going, oh no, I can't use them. I mean, seriously, Ragman is all-powerful, Mr. Terrific is one of the smartest people on the planet, and somehow Oliver still thinks that there's no way he can use them to his advantage. In fact, I'm going to specifically call out Curtis in the ugly portion. But the other thing that kind of bugs me is Vigilante. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, though, and say that in the back half of the season they're going to work on that more. But what about the ugly? Well, there's two big ones. I'm going to start with Mr. Terrific, who in the comic is one of the smartest people in the world, and who when he was first introduced as Curtis, was doing extremely well. He had invented the T-spheres, he was an Olympic deathlete, he was already accomplished in many things, but he was a bit of a joke character. When he took on the role of Mr. Terrific, I had hoped that he would grow out of it. However, for the most part, he has been used as a punching bag over and over again. In fact, in the mid-season finale, they made a joke of it. How many injuries have you had since you started doing this? Oh, gee, I lost count. But where that's a personal pet peeve, the second one is more in theme. And you know what? It's a consistency issue. Is it okay to kill? Is there a difference between a vigilante and a superhero? And we get asked that right at the beginning of this season. When recruiting Wild Dog, Curtis asks if there's a difference between being a superhero and being a vigilante, and that gets repeated constantly, except for the fact that, well, there really isn't. Okay, so Oliver kills some people sometimes, except for the fact that, sort of police officers, if you're using a lethal weapon, then there's lethal consequences. And then there's the question of, what about when Vigilante does it? Is it bad because Vigilante is... Let's put this in perspective for a minute. Ollie and Artemis are running around with bows and arrows. Arrows are not exactly non-lethal weapons, boxing glove arrow jokes aside. But then on top of that, we have Spartan and Mad Dog running around, and they're using guns. I mean, how are you going to justify the fact that they shoot at people? Of course people are going to end up dying when bullets are flying. And that's not even withstanding the fact that just in normal superhero things, when you beat people up, people die. You hit someone too hard in the head, you throw someone too hard into a wall, and that's before you get into Ragman and his biblical connotations. I give Arrow a lot of credit, because it was the first of the big superhero shows in the modern telling. In fact, at the time Arrow came out, there was no Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there was no Flash, there was no Supergirl. They didn't know what to do. They took elements of Batman and elements of Arrow and tried to ground it in reality because they thought superhero shows wouldn't work on TV. Well, they were wrong. Superhero shows totally work on TV, and it's proven it, and every other show has surpassed it when it comes to comic book stuff. Now Arrow is playing catch up, and I was hoping the Fortnite crossover was going to help, and we are getting more and more stuff. I mean, we've got Resurrections, we've got Ra's al Ghul, you name it. But there's also a bunch of weird stuff that I just don't get. I don't understand what the purpose of giving Diggle a son instead of a daughter was. I don't understand the purpose of bringing Laurel Lance back yet, but that was literally the last scene of the mid-season, so I'm going to give them a second or two with that. And I still don't fully understand the flashbacks this season. Maybe it's going to be something to do with Talia al Ghul. I know she's coming into it soon. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Like I said, it holds a special place in my heart by starting the Berlantiverse, and I think the Berlantiverse is pretty awesome, especially after we've got a Hall of Justice and a basic Justice League crossover. Now, I'm not going to do a weekly video on Arrow while it's off, but I promise you as soon as it's back I will. So give me a subscription and a thumbs up if you're liking Arrow, and help me build a community so that we can take a look at the heart of the story of Arrow.